There are actually people out there advocating for Grand Theft Auto 6 to be $100, and that should scare you. No, seriously, I had the surprise Pikachu face when I logged online and saw gamers actually defending this insane price hike rumor. It all started a while back when Take-Two Interactive CEO went on a whole rant during an earnings call about how video games should be valued based on an algorithm of expected entertainment usage and per hour value. Basically boardroom talk for, we give you 100 hours of content, so we feel justified in charging you up the butt for it. And then you had industry analysts and Twitter armchair economists running with it, predicting a $100 baseline for the standard edition of the game. And dude, video game prices are gonna keep skyrocketing. That's just a grim reality that we're forced to accept. But we've got to understand that not every game actually deserves that price increase. Every studio and publisher in the world are looking at GTA 6 and hoping they make $100 games a new standard. And sure, GTA definitely earned that price tag if they choose it, but they're only advocating for a $100 GTA 6 so that they can slither in like snakes and put out their own self-proclaimed quadruple-A game like Ubisoft did with Skull and Bones and slap their own $100 label on it. And we all remember how quick Skull and Bones got flushed down the toilet. Just a couple years ago, Ubisoft CEO literally sat on a call with investors and justified charging $70 for that pirate disaster by calling it a quadruple-A game. And every gamer on the planet of Earth laughed him out of the room. This was a game that was stuck in development hell for 11 years, completely stripped of what made Assassin's Creed Black Flag fun, and shoved out the door with a full price tag and live service battle passes tacked on top. They claimed that it was a vast and complete game, while in the exact same sentence, saying that it will deliver in the long run. I'm trying to understand how you say something is vast and complete, and then admit it's basically an IOU for future content. But they still had the audacity to demand full price from gamers. And how did that work out for them? It flopped pretty hard. As of right now, Skull and Bones is literally pulling double-digit player counts on Steam. There are more people playing Uno right now than Ubisoft's precious quadruple-A pirate slop. And that's the danger here. If GTA comes out at $100, then Ubisoft, EA, and Activision will start pointing at it to justify their own price hikes. They always use the biggest, most successful anomaly to drag the entire industry down. When Horse Armor and Oblivion made money, everyone jumped on microtransactions. When Fortnite made billions on battle passes, suddenly every single game needed a battle pass. If Take-Two gets away with a $100 baseline on Grand Theft Auto, then the next Battlefield or Far Cry is gonna be $100 too. And they'll look you straight in the eye and say, well, development costs have risen, and we offer a vast, expansive world. Like, okay, yeah, right, they offer a vast, empty world filled with repetitive outposts and a cash shop that updates faster than the actual game does. I mean, that part we can agree on. Take-Two CEO even said that compared to other entertainment mediums, gaming prices are actually very, very low. Like, give me a break. You don't pay $70 to go see a movie and then have the theater usher walk down the aisle asking for another $10 if you want to see the ending. Which brings up another massive point. Games aren't just selling you the base product anymore. They're double or triple dipping in most cases. Take-Two makes literal billions of dollars off of GTA Online shark cards. They don't need to charge $100 up front to break even or even make a profit. They're gonna make a ridiculous amount of money on the back end for the next 15 years. We just saw it happen with GTA 5. The same goes for all of these other studios. They launch an unfinished product, an absolute broken mess at full price, and then expect you to pay the premium battle pass to unlock the cool cosmetics. If you think a $100 price tag means that they were finally dropped the predatory live service mechanics, you're out of your minds. It just means that you're paying a higher entry fee for the privilege of being nickel and dimed. And the worst part is seeing actual gamers go online and defend it. You see people on Reddit saying, honestly, I'd pay $150 for GTA 6. And to that I say, how much is the marketing department paying you? You might be willing to drop that kind of cash because it's Rockstar, but you're handing a loaded gun to every other publisher out there. Remember when the PS5 and Xbox Series X came out, publishers swore up and down that games needed to cost $70 because development was getting too expensive. They promised us true next-generation experiences. Instead, we got cross-generational ports with slightly better frame rates and games that still launch broken. We gave them an inch and they took a mile. We let them bump the standard price up to $70 this generation, and what did we get for it? A bunch of live service games, a bunch of content held behind a paywall, and our favorite gaming studios get laid off. Developers are out here getting fired weeks after a game launches. We'll just keep getting half-baked releases like the Suicide Squad killed a Justice League game. Remember how that was dead on arrival? Rocksteady even tried to give that game away for free on the Epic Games Store shortly after it came out. The extra $10 to bring that game to $70 didn't go towards making a better game or paying the developers a fair wage. It went straight into the pockets of the executives who laid off about 500 people to secure their end-of-year bonuses. If you want to see what games are actually worth your money, look at the independent studios and the AA market. Look at games like Helldivers 2, which launched at a lower price point, offered a complete cooperative PvE experience. Look at your Remnant 2s, your Claire Obscures, games that look like $100 million, if not $200 million games, but were made on a fraction of the budget. And let's give it up to Capcom for their generational run so far, with Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata. Single-player games without microtransaction focuses, hitting like 100,000 players on Steam alone. These are the studios that respect your time and your money. They don't need a bloated budget and 1,000 developers spread across 8 countries to make something fun. They focus on good mechanics, a solid core loop, and fair prices. Meanwhile, most AAA publishers are just bloated. They mismanage their projects, restart development 3 times over, inflate the budget to pretty insane levels, and then expect the consumer to foot the bill for their incompetence. Let's talk a little bit more about this per hour value nonsense that the Take-Two CEO brought up. He basically said that if you play a game for 100 hours, you're getting extreme value out of it compared to a 2-hour movie, but not all hours are created equally. In a game like GTA, sure, a lot of those hours are spent doing wild stuff with your friends, but in a typical Ubisoft open world game, those 100 hours are padded, absolutely laced with filler. They're filled with trailing missions, collecting shiny rocks, and grinding faction reputation just so you can be the proper level to do the next story mission. They intentionally designed the game to be a tedious grind so that they can turn around and sell you a time saver microtransaction, and then they have the nerve to point at that padded runtime and say, look at the value that we provided. It's just a scam. Quality matters way more than quantity. I would rather play a tightly crafted 10-hour game than a sprawling, soulless 100-hour chore simulator. I mean, ideally, you would probably want the best of both worlds, which, I mean, something like Crimson Desert might actually provide for you. This whole concept of quadruple-A games is just the latest buzzword to try and justify inflated budgets and price tags. It means absolutely nothing. It's an imaginary tier created by marketing executives to make you think that you're getting a premium product, but the reality is, the bigger these games get, the safer they have to be with it. When you spend $250 million on a game, you can't take risks. You have to appeal to everyone. You have to follow the formula. That's why every Sony exclusive is starting to feel like a third-person cinematic action game with light stealth and RPG elements. It's why every multiplayer game is chasing the hero shooter or extraction shooter trend. Bungie got hit by their own wave of layoffs after failing to meet financial expectations. Now they're pivoting to Marathon, an extraction shooter that nobody really asked for before it was announced, trying to compete in an oversaturated market against games like Arc Raiders and Tarkov. When you have publishers throwing hundreds of millions at a single game, they can't afford a flop, but because they refuse to innovate, a flop is exactly what they'll get. Just look at Concord. They yanked it offline entirely because nobody wanted to play it. They're terrified of failing, and yet, because they lack any kind of creative soul, they just end up failing anyway. So here we are sitting in 2026, just a couple weeks away from GTA 6 dropping, and the industry is holding its breath breath. If Rockstar actually comes out and sets the price at a current standard of $70, it'll be a massive relief. There are reports from analysts saying that Rockstar knows a $100 price tag would alienate players and hurt their day one sales. They need that massive install base so they can start selling you digital cars and apartments in the new GTA Online. That's where the real money is made. Pricing the game out of reach for average gamers would just throttle those long-term profits. But the fact that we even have this conversation is depressing. The fact that $100 games is a legitimate threat looming over the horizon just shows how out of touch the corporate side of gaming has become. We need to hold the line, so we need to let these people in charge know that we're tired of the slop. We're tired of the nonsense. If a publisher tries to push some generic quadruple-A live service trap on you for $100, then let it fall in the garbage bin where it belongs. Let their stocks bleed. It's the only language that they understand. Just play Crimson Desert, just play Resident Evil or Pragmata. Play the indie games that are actually pushing the boundaries of creativity, like Slay the Spire 2. Stop pre-ordering Slop just because it has a shiny cinematic trailer. Anyway, this is RageWatch and I'm out. Thanks for watching.